live on YouTube.
You're watching HCAM TV.
Okay, thank you, Hopkinton. And I'd also like to thank Matt Clark, because nobody says you're watching HCAM TV like Matt Clark says you're watching HCAM TV. Matt, thanks for the enthusiasm.
No problem.
All right. On the first half hour, we are talking all about happiness. And before I get to that, I have a quick update from our good friends at the Mental Health Collaborative. Last week, we told you that they are in the running for a Red Sox Impact Grant, which will really impact their collaboration and help them through these times to create and put out a curriculum for our community and beyond. So they are in second place on the Red Sox Foundation $10,000 grant. You can vote every single day. So if you like them, this collaboration is helmed by Abby Rosenberg. And if you like them, we ask you to go there and give them a vote every day and let the Red Sox know that you think they're great. The page to vote, redsox.com/impact. Thank you. All right. Now, also, before we get to happiness, Mike, what's the second half hour of our show today? Oh, you're muted. Oh, rookie mistake.
I was just lining up the second show. I just switched screens to line it up. Second show, we're going to be talking again with Margie Wiggins, getting her take on teaching virtually and some crafts, I believe.
Okay, great. Thank you. Now, I did not know that I was going to get this, but I got this information just today on one of the websites that I visit. And I'd like this to frame our starting point. It's very interesting. There was a poll that was taken by Monmouth University, and it says 14% of Americans say they're very happy, which is the lowest number since at least 1972. A mere 21% of Americans think that the country is going in the right direction. The vast majority, 74%, said America was on the wrong track. That's probably, I would think, politically speaking. And that may be on whatever side of the spectrum we're on may lead to that. However, I just think that it's very interesting because there's also the pandemic that we're dealing with now. And I think that that could really be impacting the level of happiness in America. And that was one of the reasons why I wanted to talk about happiness, because I think there's some very interesting concepts about that. So that's why we're here. If you would like to, you can call us at 435-7887 and tell us about your happiness. We're not therapists, but we'd love to listen. You can also type in your comment on our YouTube live stream. And I think either Bob Hamilton will get that to us, or you can go to our Facebook page and add your comment there, and Tom Nappy will dish that up for you. So thanks for coming along for the ride. Now, before I get into some of my stuff, does anybody want to begin with what they think about happiness?
Well, I'll say to your comment about, the virus affecting happiness, I certainly think it does. I think a lot of people are nervous about things still. And in some states, you got a resurgence. So that makes people even more nervous that there could be a second wave. And then, of course, there's those people who had a business or has a business that has been severely affected in a negative way from the virus. So I think the virus plays a big impact with how happy the world is right now.
You know what? I don't think you can understate that. I think that is very important. In fact, also this morning, it's like a crazy day. My eye was caught by a person who had written into a self-help column, but because she was feeling guilty, that she was feeling joy. She said that recently, in the midst of this pandemic, her husband had finally landed a depression treatment that worked for him, and he was happier than he had been. She had gotten a new job, which had risen them out of poverty and allowed her to have a medical condition that she had be treated. So she was no longer in pain every single day. And she was on a Zoom call with some friends, and the friends were saying, "Oh, how is everybody doing? How are you surviving this?" And somebody was like, "Oh, look, this person, she looks joyful. In fact, she looks like she's glowing." So she was actually feeling guilty about that. And fortunately, the columnist said there's no need to feel guilt for legitimate things that are bringing you relief and joy and happiness in your time. I think that's a really hard thing to do, because I know that whenever I say to myself, I am doing okay, I am thinking about people who are not doing okay. And there are so many of them, and it is so hard. I think it's really hard to feel joy when you know there's so much suffering going on. That's a really hard thing to balance.
Well,
Yeah.
oh, sorry, Mike.
No, go ahead, man. Go ahead.
I think there's a big culture, at least in this country, of when you feel bad about something, people say like, "Oh, cheer up. It could be worse." And I've always felt that doesn't actually help anything, because there's always someone who has it worse, and there's one person in the world who would have it the objective worst. And I don't know what that person is doing or anything about what that person's life must be, but just because you're not the worst doesn't mean you don't have a right to be sad or complain, or like I don't think we justify sadness that much. And justifying sadness is an important step to overcoming it, I believe.
Yes, I think so too. In fact, in my life, there's been a person who has oftentimes been in more of a negative mood, or been stressing over something. And at one point, I was trying to make that person feel better, and they turned around to me and said, "You know what? I'm allowed to feel bad. I'm not wrong because I feel bad, because this is worth feeling bad about." And I was like, "Oh yeah, you're actually right. Okay, you are allowed to have your feelings, and I have to respect that."
Myself, on a daily basis, I feel that there are so many more people that are doing worse than I'm doing, whatever the case may be. And I feel now that with this pandemic and everyone having to find new things to do and occupy their time, I saw this is what makes me happy. I saw how the outreach to others to help others was out there, and finding new ways to adapt. And because I tell you, I was getting ready to just take a break from social media altogether. And you know me, I'm a
Yeah.
social media guy. I want to take a break because the politics, everyone I hate this president. I hate this president. I hate that president. I hate this candidate. I hate whatever. And just the hate, there was a lot of hate. And then all that disappeared. And I think was it France or Italy, when they had the balcony singing going on, because I think it was Italy, because Italy was in a lockdown, and people in the evening at sunset, someone started singing, and then everybody started singing that song. And from that moment on, you saw how people were coming up with new things to do and how they helped one another. And I saw nothing but happiness, throughout social media. now we're at a different time because we've been cooped up too long. And I think that's all changing again. But it was stuff like that that saw me, that made me happy, was how everyone helped everybody, no matter what.
Right. Now, we're going to get to some examples that people have sent in. One thing before that, Bob hasn't had a chance to talk yet. Please.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you. I was sitting here saying, wow, I thought this was supposed to be about what makes us happy. I thought you guys sounded like a bunch of downers. When I think about what makes me happy, if I get a text message from my 10-year-old granddaughter that has 15 emojis on it, and then she tells me that she misses me, that makes me happy, especially if I can understand the emojis. And then even more important, when I can send them back. Those are the kind of things that make me happy. I love looking out the window or walking down the street and seeing little kids holding their parents' hand walking down the street. If you've ever noticed, there isn't one kid under 6 years old that ever just walks. They skip, they jump, they pull, they run. Now that makes me happy. Talking about what's happening in the world and the COVID-19 virus, none of that makes me happy. Even if it's over, I'm still not going to be happy about it. So I just wanted to express that those are my personal happiness things. And that's what I was interested in talking about.
And that actually is what we're here to talk about. I felt that starting from the information that I found today was kind of a starting point to recognize that people can do things that make them happy. And there is a legitimate issue of people not being happy. And while that may be justifiable and acceptable, I don't think that people need to stay there if they don't want to. So one of the things I did in my class, some of the last segments that we made were on what makes you happy. And I'm going to play a little video now, just it's less than a minute, from somebody in the class making this what makes them happy.
At the beginning of the day, it wasn't really going too well. When I was about to go to bed, my friends FaceTimed me and told me to get on to play Xbox. And after 8 games, I ended up winning the tournament.
So I like that one because we'll see a lot of illustrations about that. That was not something that was very costly or intensive. It involved another person. They were interacting, they were having a good time, and they were happy about it. So
Sometimes it's the simple things in life.
oh, that's a wise one right there, Tom. Wise beyond your years. All right. So Tom, you want to start off with some of the input that you've received?
Sure. Well, we got a good response on social media. And these are some of the comments here. And I'll just move some stuff around so I can see what's going on. All right. So we had Mary McLeod state, I love our community. I walk each day through town and say hello to Wally at the gas station, the staff at Hopkinton Drug, the post office staff, smiling at others as we pass each other when walking by each other. It fills my heart. I also love walking with a friend at Ice House Pond and going to the state park. I love Hopkinton. Very nice. And then you had Pat say, a smile and great health for my loved ones and me. Absolutely.
That's great.
And if anybody knows Mary, Mary makes everybody happy.
Everybody.
She is just a ray of sunshine. We love you, Mary.
Yep.
Absolutely. And then some more Facebook comments. Listening to 80s music in my hammock. Now that sounds pretty fun. My dog, man's and lady's best friend. I agree. Dog can definitely be a man's best friend. So can a cat. Bringing joy to others. My grandkids, my family, and friends. And Darlene Hayes, looks like a picture of a cool, what do they call it, a windmill type of thing on the
like
beach.
a pinwheel. That's like a pinwheel.
A wind pinwheel. I bet that spins.
Yeah. But look at the beach. Oh,
I'm guessing that's the Cape.
oh, there's Sally.
Yeah.
And then
Oh,
the
another
beach.
scene.
Yeah, that's Paula. She's a big HCAM fan. She used to be my secretary at the fire station, and she loves HCAM.
And I agree with the beach because the beach makes me very happy. And then you got Shannon saying Jasper and Kaya. I'm guessing.
That's her cat and my dog.
Okay. Renee said music, going out with friends, and living on the North Shore. Very nice. Debbie said dogs.
Oh, I like the pause.
Debbie loves dogs.
Okay.
And then we got Hoodsy Cups from John. So John, I guess, is an easy guy to make happy. Just give him a Hoodsy Cup.
You know, you just reading that comment, I can taste the wooden spoon.
And Lisa, my daughter, horses, and MRC volunteers. Very nice. Janice, my animals. And then this is from Instagram. Our good friend Cynthia said, running, hiking, writing, poetry, connecting with my friends virtually now, and sharing special moments with my family. And then John, climbing a mountain, making music, paddling a kayak, baking, cooking, finishing a project, and laughing with my family. Oh, very nice. And then this is the best comment. Fire Mike says, Mike Terosian makes him happy.
And that made me happy. Thanks, Mike.
And that's what we got for social media feedback. Some great comments. Thanks, everybody.
So Fire Mike isn't your alias, Mike?
No. That's my partner. He was when I first started 12 years ago. He was one of the first group, one of my partners. Yeah, great guy.
Well,
Okay.
We'll have to investigate that account. The picture's a little blurry. Maybe that was Mike.
No, it wasn't.
No.
You know I don't use IG. Come on.
I'm just kidding.
All right. So I think that there are really true and valid things there. And it's interesting that a lot of them are easy. Not like you have to really go out there and work at it or learn a lot. So I'm only going to do this. I'm going to do one picture. Okay.
That'll be the picture I know. I'm hoping this is it.
There we go.
There he is.
When I'm working at home, my Percy is right there with me.
Percy, I miss Percy.
No matter where we go in the house, he just wants to be next to you. It's so sweet. And I just find it amazing. I just find it amazing how these different creatures, these dogs, our cats, they love us. They just love us. You know, they don't require anything for that love. It's very simple and free.
Yeah, Kai is the same exact way. And she just got up and moved, but I go room to room and she's by my feet. And my kitchen's small, so that's a little tough. And sometimes it's not the best place to be, but she's always looking for me to drop something.
Right. Now, I wanted to mention there is a course from Yale University, which is a free course online to take, which is all about happiness. And this course is 19 hours of video lectures. And this person who went through the course, I haven't gone through the course, although I think it sounds really good and it's probably useful for anybody to take. The first thing that they took away from that course was to increase social connections. And I don't know. I think if you haven't come to that realization during this time of pandemic and physical isolation or physical distance, which, by the way, somebody was mentioning, they hate the term social distancing because we should never distance socially. We are physically distancing because there's a virus. And we're trying to be social in different ways with the phone and with Zoom and Google Meet and all that other stuff. But social connections, it may be an obvious one to a lot of people, but you know what? Even the obvious ones are useful to think about and meditate on and make some action. And out of all of us, I can't imagine anybody more social than Mike Chirosian.
Well, thank you for that. And that's the part that was hurting me the most, Jim, because when we all started with the with this, we're going on 3 months, a couple days ago, when they started shutting everything down. And as you know, I just lost my dog to cancer. And I'm saying to myself, all right, here I am home now. How is this going to work? And thank goodness somebody, was giving up their dog and brought Kaya into my life April 1st, because there was no way I was going to be able to handle that without it. Because, yes, I'm a very social person. I need that kind of interaction. And that's the toughest. And yes, they wanted to change the name from social distancing to physical because they wanted to emphasize be the 6 feet apart. And social sounded like, yeah, you can't. How can you do that? And yes, socials, it's huge, and you got to continue doing it. And thank goodness for these kind of tools, the FaceTimes and the Zooms to help us still stay connected and interacting with people.
Right. Now, we all know that Matt is staying socially connected through online gaming with all of his friends. I'm curious, Tom, how you feel about that and what you might be doing to try to stay connected during this time.
Well, I've had some Zoom calls with some friends, and I've been on Zoom for hours with friends, just talking about the goofy stuff we talk about. And, we have fun talking about some of the stuff going on. My friends have a good sense of humor, so we like to make jokes about a lot of stuff, most of which are probably too inappropriate for the show, but
I'm glad you know that.
But just talking with friends through Zoom, the great thing about these programs that we've all discovered during this pandemic is you could still see the person you're talking to. You can have a conversation with them in real time. So I think stuff like this has definitely helped. But also, I've been seeing my parents a lot and helping with my nephews and my niece and tutoring them a bit. And that makes me happy. I love being around the kids as well as my parents. So really just staying connected with everybody has, I guess, kept me sane.
And Bob, so are you keeping connected with your granddaughter?
Only on social media. Yeah, that when my granddaughter was probably 4 years old, I started writing her letters so that she could help with her reading, and she reads magnificently. She reads stuff now that I can't read, and she's only 10 years old. But then she wrote back to me, and we did that for a couple years. And then when she was old enough to get her own cell phone, which was about 8 years old, then she started texting me, and now she has instant messaging, and she uses that. So all of that, that's how we keep in touch with our youngest granddaughter. But our oldest granddaughter is coming to Tufts this year. She's supposed to be a freshman in the fall, so we'll get to see a lot more of her. They all live down in Maryland, but we stay in touch with mostly with telephone and text messages. We have done the Zoom meetings once in a while, but their lives are so busy they don't have time to sit around and talk on Zoom unless it's doing their lessons, talking to their friends, that kind of thing. They don't need to talk to their grandparents.
And if I can interrupt here, to avoid getting in big trouble, I also have to say spending time with my lovely wife has made me very happy.
She must be right there, huh?
Can we just put a caveat out there that's always number one for all of us?
Yes, I'm sure I'll hear about that later.
Let me ask you something, Tom. Have you ever had an argument with your wife?
Oh, never. Absolutely not.
You have, you just didn't know it.
She wins them all.
So, Bob, I hope your daughter's okay. She must be coming to Tufts for treatment because you can't have a granddaughter old enough to go to college.
Yeah, well, she's very advanced. Yes. Yes, I do have a granddaughter old enough to go to college. And if my daughter and son-in-law had got it started earlier, I would have had more granddaughters to send to college by now.
All right. So there we go on the happiness hour. Okay. All right. The next takeaway was from this article talking about this Yale course was to perform acts of kindness, which I think, you know what, again, it's of course, right? It's amazing to me that the lessons that I've tried to impart to my children, and one of them is New Englanders are usually, nope, I'm okay. I got this. I can handle this. And I try to instill with them that helping somebody else is a gift to both of you. Being able to accept help from somebody else is a gift to the person giving the help because they want to, and it makes them happy. We've always seen, the hashtag random acts of kindness and buying coffee for the person behind you in the Dunkin' Donuts line or Starbucks line, that kind of stuff. Those things I think are really cool and really nice.
Yeah, I like the pay it forward gestures that have been going around, especially during the pandemic. I actually experienced one myself. Somebody bought me a coffee one day uh, at an establishment around here, and I paid it forward. Got the next person's order.
That's nice. Although they probably did it because you're famous and they recognized you. And so they were able to go out and say, I bought Tom Nappy a coffee.
That's
How cool is
yeah,
that?
yeah. The guy who doesn't have to afford it because he's so rich and famous.
Yeah.
Hey, that pay it forward thing. I've been doing that for a long time. And just to give you an idea how long time ago it was, I used to do it when I was at the toll booths. I used to go to the people actually handing the change, not the bucket, not the speed pass, but hand it, and I give them $5 bills, and I says that's for whoever's behind me.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, that's how long ago. That's how long ago I learned that lesson. So, and I haven't paid a toll like that for I don't know, 15, 20 years.
I know. My daughter was just saying, imagine we were driving on the Mass Pike. She goes, here's where the tolls used to be. And I was like, imagine your kids may grow up in a world not knowing, when they read the Phantom Toll Booth, they're going to be like, what is that?
Yeah. What's a toll house cookie? Why do they call it a toll house? What's that?
Right. All right. So we're getting close. So there's a couple more. The next one was burn some calories. I mean, has anybody not heard of the benefits of exercise on everything, your body and your mind? And just
I tell you, I burned 1,000 calories just this Saturday. It was a whole tray of brownies that I left in the oven, and it just. Oh no, you weren't talking about that? I'm sorry.
No, I love that shirt. What's that shirt you had? And something about like you meant, I thought it was fries. What was that?
Yeah, I know what you mean. I thought you meant fries. Yeah.
I think about that because
I think of it. Yes.
Shirt. So, has anybody now? My sister is a great one for exercises all the time, and I'm always jealous of her because she has reached the point where she misses it if she doesn't exercise, and I've never gotten there. I've never been consistent enough to say, oh, I'd like to do that.
I miss the gym.
Do you?
Oh, absolutely. I miss it.
Do you think the customers of the guy down in Oxford there that kept open his gym now gets fined $1,000 a day? Those customers must be helping him with that fine system because, he's still now he's got a court order and he's going against that. He's going to go to jail. This guy. That's how hardcore some people are when it comes to working out.
Right. And I miss the social connections at the gym. There's a lot of people that I would talk to on a pretty regular occurrence, and certainly all the machinery and just the atmosphere there. I think a lot of people that are into working out are certainly missing going to their fine establishments.
All right. Now the last one, the last little nugget. I'm curious to know if you would have thought of this or if you do this. And that is to increase your happiness, get some shut-eye. Get 8 hours of sleep a night. And
has that been my problem?
What?
Has that been my problem all these
Yeah,
years?
it is. See, you young people, it's the, what is it? Is it melatonin? No, there's a thing that keeps you up at night,
Melatonin helps you sleep.
So young people, their melatonin, dies down at night. And as you get older, you get more melatonin, and it helps you to sleep. So yes, Matt, that's a young person problem.
I do enjoy a good nap.
Oh, me too.
You know what? I don't know. I like to, but I do not like waking up in the middle of the afternoon, and I feel just like, it's like when you go to a movie in the afternoon and you come out and it's still light. It's like, ew, that's just not right with the world. All right. So I'm getting the wrap-up sign from Mr. Tarosian. Mike, I thought it was 28 minutes.
It wound up being 29:11. Sorry.
Well, guys,
Well,
thanks everybody online who shared their thoughts with us, and perhaps we'll do this another half hour. I'm done. Joining me today is my co-host Bob Hamilton. Thank you for being here, Bob.
You're welcome. Happy to be here.
And welcome to our special first guest, Margie Wiggins.
Hi.
How are you doing today, Margie?
I'm doing well. Thank you. How are you doing?
Great, thanks.
Good.
Now, I am sure very few people will need an introduction because you are everywhere. You've done lots of awesome programming for HCAM. You work in the community, and you also do a lot of volunteer work everywhere else here in Hopkinton. So for those people who may not know, let's just quickly go down the list, Margie, of everything that you do.
Well, I'm not good at doing nothing. So let's just start there. I tutor in town. I started a tutoring business called Wiggin Works with an X in January, thank God, just before everything started happening, because my favorite thing is to work with students and see that light bulb go off over their head when they get it. That's my goal, is help them get it. I also worked at TJ Maxx in Home Goods, actually, and they are shut down now, but that was kind of fun to do something in the mornings while the kids were in school, and then I tutored in the afternoon. So that's my for work stuff. Volunteer stuff, I'm actually unit commissioner for Boy Scouts because they asked me and I said sure. And I'm a library trustee, so that's kind of fun. I also am a troublemaker, which is EBLE, not OUBLE. So troublemaker.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, meaning I'm in a chorus, which is so fun. I love to sing. And we actually are still meeting Wednesday nights to talk about music theory and just to talk, because it's a great group of people. We were supposed to have a concert actually this week, but it will have to wait.
Yeah.
So
now, where are you meeting?
On Zoom.
Oh. So are you guys going to do one of those like
Maybe.
songs?
Maybe. We talked about it, and the challenge is you can't all sing at once. So everyone has to record their own little piece and then put it together. And I don't know that we have figured out who would do that or when or how. But we definitely are talking about that because that would be so fun.
It would be. It would be.
Yeah.
There are some of those things are just amazing.
Yeah, I agree. And we were going to do, our program was going to be show tunes. So we were all really excited about doing the show tunes that we were practicing. So it's possible that we'll come up with something, because that would be so fun. And besides those, the volunteer things and the work things, I also keep myself busy in my home, which is now a condo, by doing some gardening, which means the planting some things that I pick up at Price Chopper or Weston Nurseries, which I'm so glad is open.
Yeah.
Or it might be trimming some shrubs that are near me that look like they need trimming, but they're not actually mine because I'm being helpful. I also love to, when I go on a walk, which I do pretty much daily, I just love photographing the flowers and the birds and the trees as a way of uplifting other people, actually. So I love looking at it, and then I post it online to say, look at this amazing, beautiful thing that I saw today, for people who might be home not not as active as I am, not as positive as I am, because I tend to be a positive person and try to look for the good in everything. So gardening, photography, I reorganize the furniture in my house sometimes, you know, because I always figure I could make it better.
Yeah. You know, I would say that you really do fit the description of a Renaissance woman.
Really?
Oh yeah, you just like do so many different things.
Wow, that's fun. I'm flattered.
Oh yeah, no, it's really fitting.
Just tell me that again anytime.
I got a question, but I think Bob wants to chime in.
Okay, hi Bob.
I only wanted to mention that I've seen you on HCAM TV on the trail walks, pointing out plants and trees.
Yes.
And I think that's really a fun walk, and I think you do a great job with it. Thank you.
You're welcome. And for me, that's kind of in the genes, because my mom was a botany major at Wellesley College, graduated in 1955. She's now 87 and still with us.
Thank God.
So I grew up being told what bird that was singing, what plant that was, what tree that was. So it's kind of natural for me. And so I did that. I told my kids that. And actually, my mom and dad met while my mom was a nature counselor at Camp Aloha, and he was at Camp Awatka, or the other way around, I forget. And so actually, I'm now a nature counselor at the camp that I've worked at in Weston called Meadowbrook Day Camp. Been doing that for 32 years, maybe. I started when I was 5. No, I'm kidding. So as a nature counselor, I love, and again, a teacher, I'm so excited to be able to do that trails show and be able to teach and show everyone else what I think is really cool in nature, because I don't know that everyone knows the difference between one tree or another tree, or why a certain plant grows like this. Or so thanks, Bob. Yeah, that's something that I really love to do. So,
you know,
and I caught myself on Character Matters a few times, and it makes me laugh every time, because that was so fun. I did that in the fall of 2016 as a way of role modeling good character, because I was looking at some adults on TV that were not showing great character. I started with honesty, and I thought about what character could I dress up as to show that character trait. So honesty was George Washington, etc. This week it's generosity, and I thought of Horton from Horton Hears the Who, which required me to dress up like an elephant, which totally mortified my daughter, but that's my job. So that's how it is. And I'm always thinking of things to do to help others. And a lot of times I am also entertaining myself at the same time. So
that's really great. You know, while you're talking, a question came to my mind. And what I'm really wondering, Margie, could you describe the environment that you grew up in? Because I'm curious to see what made you.
Okay. So do you know, the first thing that popped in my head was Steve Martin in, I forget what movie that is, but I'm not gonna quote him. Anyway, I was born to my mother. Actually, let's go back. My mother was born in China because her parents were missionaries. So I have a missionary spirit, I think, to me, which is helping others. I also love all cultures and all people, you know, not all people, but I have a global family. My dad is the son of a doctor and a nurse. So his father at one point told him to live a life of service. So I grew up in this family of people who tried to help other people. And we took day trips every weekend. We were driving somewhere to look at nature. I remember going up to Fruitlands, which is up near Harvard, Mass, because that was the Alcott family estate or whatever. So things where we learned things, things where we valued nature, valued being kind to other people. My dad was a tenor soloist in our church in Newton, where I was growing up in Waban. So I went to church, just learned about how to be nice, to do unto others as you would have done unto you is a big thing. My dad ended up being starting a company that sings in nursing homes and a nonprofit. So we just really, and the other thing is, I had 3 siblings, so there was some sibling warfare is what came to mind, but it's rivalry. And so as the oldest, I had to be really responsible and tell everyone else what to do. That was my job. And,
But you don't do that now.
A little bit.
No.
A little. But I had to, my mom went back to work as a librarian when I was 13. So I was the one that met the kids when they came home after school. So, if I was 13, that meant my sisters were 11 and 9, and then my brother was like 7. So I was the boss because that was my job. So, so I was trained to be helpful and bossy. This is how I grew up.
No, I think you do a great job, Margie. I don't think it's bossy at all. I think it's a good way to present information. And I think it's important that when you have siblings, I happen to be the oldest myself, and I know that we're the smartest and have all the right answers. So I can understand how it would be easy to try and explain things to everyone else. That's important.
Yes.
I'll give that to you. I understand that. But as the youngest child, I can tell you we're the golden child.
Yeah. A golden spoon in your mouth.
You mean the one that gets away with everything? Is that what you mean?
Yes.
Because the parents have already been there, done that. Well, the thing is, I have some amazing siblings. And I can remember my mom. I have to credit my mom with things like sitting us around the table with that book, Values Clarification. Honestly, we sat there and there would be this question like, if there was a fire, what 3 things would you take out of the house or something? I can't even remember the questions, but she worked hard on having us be empathetic to each other, having us understand each other, seeing what is really important. Is it, do you have the right shoes, or can you give your shoes to someone who doesn't have any shoes? I don't know. So, yeah, my parents really, I think, did a really good job bringing us up. And as a very human parent myself, it's, we all make mistakes. And I know that this time is very stressful for a lot of families, and all I can say is we're all doing the best we can do. And if I can help someone else by putting up pictures of flowers, because I don't have 4 kids running around in my house right now. Well, I only have 3 and a cat. But it is a hard time. And I think something that's really important is honoring the differences and supporting each other, not rigidly. There's no shoulds right now. People shouldn't should on each other. I'm quoting Joanne Woodward. She said that. So, I do appreciate my parents, my upbringing. I tried to do the best I could do as a mom. I know I made mistakes. And as a teacher, honestly, I feel like everything I do is kind of being a mom. I sort of love everybody. As a teacher, I'm passing along valuable information. As a volunteer, I'm helping. I'm guiding. People if I see someone drop something, I'm going to help them pick it up. My son keeps telling me, don't let that other car go. You're supposed to go first. But I just have this upbringing of helping other people. Yeah.
I just got to follow up on that car thing, because you know what? If you have the right of way and you're trying to be nice and they don't understand that, you could cause confusion.
Well, that's what my son said. I almost said brother because he reminds me of my brother. But, yeah, I'm learning. I can be taught.
Okay.
So, Margie, what was your career path? What jobs have you had in this lifetime?
Oh my goodness. Where's that resume? No, it's interesting. I knew that I wanted to be a teacher when I was young because I'm very good at being bossy. And so I knew that I wanted to do that. But I thought about being a guidance counselor. I knew that it would be hard for me because I would want to take all those children home that weren't happy in their homes. So I said, nope, I'm too sensitive. That's not going to work. But when I graduated UMass, when I went to UMass, they said, no, you can't be a teacher because there are no jobs. You should pick another major. And I said, what? So I was an English major because I got all A's in English, and I figured go with what I'm good at. And then I could read any training manual anywhere I worked. So, but I worked in retail. I worked at Filene's and Bloomingdale's and a place called Fabrications, which sold wall hangings. I worked at St. Moritz Ski and Sport because I love to ski. And so I've done some retail. When I came out of college, I moved on to Beacon Hill with a friend of mine at 59 Myrtle Street because she was working in the Salt and Stall building for an internship. So I actually found a job near where I lived, which happened to be working at International Weekends Travel Company. And they put me in the changes department, which meant that everyone whose flights had been changed, whose trips had been changed, called me to complain.
Oh, wow.
That job didn't last long. And then I took a job in real estate. So I worked as in the maintenance department. So everyone who had a problem with their maintenance would call me. Their heat wasn't working, and I had to tell them that the guys were on the way, even though I knew that the guys were in another building and they'd be there for 2 hours. So that job was hard for me too. But while I was at those jobs, I started to think, you know what? My brain is atrophying here. This is not working for me. So I went back to get my master's in education because I knew that's what I really wanted to do. So after I got the degree, I started working at Meadowbrook School in Weston, where I walked in my shorts in the summer and said, I've been working here in the camp for a few years. I just got my degree. Do you need any teachers? So I worked there for about 6 years, had a kid. And then I went back to school, back to work in things. Well, I sold Tupperware for a while. I sold Mary Kay for a while when I had an infant at home. And then I would work in preschool. So I worked at Next Generation. I worked at Playhouse Preschool. And then when my youngest was in school, I worked at Weston Nurseries. I worked at Hopkinton Wine and Spirits as a wine tasting consultant. So I've had a lot of little jobs here and there. And then I started working at Hopkins School when my youngest was in first grade. So she had more of a full day schedule. They wanted to hire me as a reading specialist. And I said, no, I want to be available for my kids. So I took a teaching assistant job in the library at Hopkins. And then a year after that, went over to Elmwood School where I was for 10 years.
Wow.
Yep. And then I jumped out of Elmwood School in the fall of 2018 to do a reading specialist job because that's my degree. And that was a long-term, they call it long-term, but it's only 3 months for the maternity leave. And then I jumped around other jobs in that school in Hudson. Then the fall, I was in Mendon Upton as a one-on-one with a Down syndrome child who was fabulous. And that job ended December, which brings me to working at TJ Maxx and starting a tutoring business, which I absolutely love.
So tell me what you do for tutoring. What grades, what subjects?
Yeah, so so my certification and licenses are all current until and valid till 2023. And my certification is K-8 for elementary ed, and then it's K-12 for reading specialist. So what I do is mostly reading, and what I do is when I have a new student, I try to figure out what reading level they're at, what they need. I have some kids who confuse the B and the D, for example, and I'm not going to diagnose whether they have dyslexia or not. I just know that's something that I need to address. And so I made up a thing where I take my two hands and I go like this. I say, okay, these are like reading glasses. And then I show the kids, if you look at that, because that's what the kid is seeing, and this is alphabetically in order. So that's a B, that's a D. So I say, okay, if you're not sure what it is, put your glasses on, and so if it's the first one, it's a B. So, I kind of make stuff. I'm a little creative. I don't know if you knew that about me.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So I try to think of how can I get in to this kid's way of thinking to best answer this individual child. So I don't have like a set thing that I do all the time. I try to figure out who is this person I'm working with and how can I best help them. A lot of it is just building their self-esteem, because some of them are just so discouraged and feel like, oh, I'm so stupid, I can't read. And I say, no, look what you did. You had 3 things that you couldn't do on this page of 500 words or whatever, So I try to show them the positive, because really they're all going to read at some point. And I find that most kids learn to read by 3rd grade. So if they're discouraged in 1st and 2nd grade, they're still going to get it. If they're not reading by 3rd grade, there's something else going on. But there are ways to figure out which learning style they have. So are they someone who learns best by hearing, best by seeing, best by touching, or acting out? So I figure out who is this little person that I'm dealing with? How can I best communicate what they need to learn? And then I try to have interesting materials for them. So if it's a kid who's interested in robots, then I'm going to try to find books or materials that appeal to their interest. So it's a high interest thing. So they're going to want to take the time to read whatever this is. If it's boring, it's harder.
That makes me think, seeing what you have done on Character Matters and all the characters that you have just like pulled out of a hat and put together. Yeah. What are some of the things that you have done to connect with your students?
Yeah, so I can't go too far out there because I still have a certain amount of things I need to accomplish. And but some of what I do is I ask them. One thing I did recently was I had a kid generate a poem. So this is a kid that doesn't feel like they can read, and so I said, all right, so let's pick an animal, so then I had them pick the animal, and then I said, okay, tell me something about the animal. So I was just writing down things while they were talking, and I said, look, this is what you just did, So I take their input and I turn it into a finished product that they can say, well, wow, you did that, So I don't pull out the crazy hats and the wigs. I mean, yeah. And also, some of these too, because I've just been working with them since January, some of them just really for a month. I don't want to scare them by being too weird at the beginning. Right.
Is it?
But I do play games. I play games to get them interested.
Right. Yeah. I assume, are you Zooming these tutoring now?
Right. Well, it's interesting because I am Zooming. I transitioned to Zoom right about when the governor shut down. So I was still trying to go to people's houses and feeling like, I don't know. But then when he said that, I was like, okay, nope, this is not a thing. There was one child to whose house I go because that particular child needs that. The parents want that. I know that I'm good, and that's, so I have to try to accommodate that one particular kid. So we're just really, careful about how we proceed in the distancing and everything like that. But yeah, Zooming is a blessing in this time. Brilliant, whoever thought of it. And I think going forward, we're going to see a change in the way business is done, in the way education is done, because of what we've figured out in these times actually is okay. It's okay not to have a million cars on the road so that the sky is clear and we can see the stars or the birds or whatever. It's okay that the animals are comfortable and can come out more than they used to because there's not so many people. So it'll be interesting to see what changes happen as a result of this.
So in addition to the troublemakers, what other creative outlets are you pursuing now? What are you doing to keep yourself energized?
Well, first of all, I'm one of those people that wakes up without coffee. I don't even like coffee. So I'm kind of like this all the time just because. I sleep well. But the gardening is, I love working with flowers. I love photography. I try to go for a walk. I do yoga. I meditate twice a day. I really try to appreciate the beauty all around me all the time. And clouds, I think, are really cool. Dead trees, really cool. So some of that is just, just living in, I hate to say this, it's trite, but an attitude of gratitude. And I'm not always like this. I mean, certainly there are times when I get upset and something happens that I think isn't fair or isn't right. And I'm like, what happened? What was that? But yeah, and I've been doing some baking. Actually, I'm working on a cookbook.
Oh.
And, yeah. So what happened was I noticed a lot of people were posting this amazing food and they'd say, oh my gosh, I made this. And it's, I look at the picture and I think, oh. So I contacted there were about 10 people and I said, hey guys, let's make this into a cookbook because you have, just try to send me the recipe, try to send me the photo that you had up on Facebook. It's bad in a way because I kind of gave them homework to do. But I'm going to put it out as the Hopkinton Quarantine Cookbook. I haven't decided if I should write it QUOOK Cookbook or that might be too weird. But, and then the thought is to sell it. I think it's going to cost me about $5 to produce each one based on books that I've already done, which may look like this and this one and this book. And I may have done some other books that I wrote, but anyway, so this is my recent one about the library. But anyway, so my thought was if it cost me $5 to make and we sell them for 10, that $5 extra could go to Project Just Because or places in town who have helped during this time, because they really, Project Just Because is such a blessing to our community and others around us.
Yeah.
Because people are food insecure and, where are they going to go? What are they going to do? So I would like to give back and in this small way, and by putting out this Hopkinton cookbook, and it's going to have some amazing recipes.
Wow. What's your favorite so far that you've seen?
My favorite recipe? Oh, man. Well, I have to tell you, Amanda Losada. I think her middle name is Huang. Amanda Huang Losada. Besides being a fabulous salsa dancer and a nice person, she posts these incredible things. There was some lobster, I don't even know what it was. She just threw things together from her fridge, basically, or her freezer.
Yeah.
And I said, can you give me that recipe? It's amazing. She said, I don't know. I just threw things together. So I'm hoping she can figure out what it was. I have to also say, Munisa and Irfan Nasrullah, some incredible food. Nasiba Manan is making incredible food. Ellen Rutter is another person. Beth Watson. So I think, so a lot of people, I can't even pick one favorite because I look at things and I say, oh my gosh, it looks so amazing.
Well, what's the favorite thing that you like to cook? Or one of them, I should say.
Yeah. So in growing up, my mom was not a great cook. She would like to do easy things without a lot of sauce. So I like simple, plain tastes. And so one thing that she would make out of the I Hate to Cook book, coincidentally enough, was called Martha's Company Casserole. And I don't know where she got the name. I forget the story, but she would put a little name in each recipe. So it involves egg noodles, cream cheese with chives, and pasta sauce. So what I did was I figured out I don't have to make a casserole. I'm just going to make some egg noodles, put some spaghetti sauce in, stir in some cream cheese, voila.
Wow.
C'est magnifique.
Awesome.
Yeah, it
Well,
actually tastes
Margie, this has been an exciting, energetic half hour. And thank you for sharing your passion and all the different interests that you have. It's really, really cool to hear about.
You're welcome.
The next time you come back, I want to hear more about those books that you've written, because I haven't seen all of those yet.
Okay.
All right. Thanks again. Take care, and we'll see you next time on the hour.
Stay well.